Welcome to the DY Pods channel. I'm your guy, DY Fly, coming live and direct from HQ. What it do? Now, I'm going to start off like this. Have you guys noticed we have gotten Eagles news without fail every single week, every single Monday, except one? I'm going to say this again so it lands, okay? Since the Super Bowl, right, where the Seahawks put Drake May in a Cobra clutch, and every drop back and every throw that he had past 5 yards was a prayer, and that the media doesn't seem to want to talk about. Drake May looking like Rex Grossman, and Seattle winning the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about that. But ever since that game, y'all, every single Monday, without fail, we've gotten news about the Philadelphia Eagles. Good, bad, or indifferent. And when that hit me, the first person that I thought about that would actually make this happen is Jerry Jones, right? I'm like, yeah, that's something he would do to keep the Cowboys' name in the media. Now we know the Cowboys, they're not as relevant as they were in the 90s. And now that we're in this new age, the Eagles, they seem to be America's team, right? And if not, they're definitely the most talked about team in the NFL. We can agree on that, right? Which brings me to Jeffrey Lurie. And I asked this question out loud in one of my videos. Does Jeffrey Lurie like the attention that the Philadelphia Eagles garner? Again, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So the pattern seems to be consistent. It seems like most news that we get is greenlit by the organization. To me, this is just my opinion, okay? Now, we just got another article by Joseph Santoliquito talking about Jalen Hurts and his side in all this, which was striking to me because in all these articles that we've gotten over the years, we've never gotten anything from Jalen's side. And for those of you who actually read the article, because, you know, I'm not going to be scared off by a headline, right? I'm actually going to read it and see what it says. And if it says anything about my quarterback, then we could take the flamethrowers out, right? If it's necessary. But I actually read the article along with a lot of you. And from my opinion, it didn't seem like a hit piece. And when I read it, it seemed like somebody from Jalen's camp was trying to get it out. And if I had to put a name on it, I would say Nicole Lynn. Because who from Jalen's camp is going to be trying to, you know, get news out there about him? Jalen's a very private person, and he's not going to kick up dust. And again, this is just my opinion. But leading up to this article, I've already talked about this in my probably top 3 best produced videos. I'll leave it up there, called Game of Thrones, explaining everybody's position within the organizations and how we got to where we are today. Talking about Jalen's side, Jeffrey's role, Howie's role, Nick's role, and all this, where exactly to where we've gotten to this article today. So I'm so glad that I waited, and this is why I love my subscribers, man. Shout out to my subscribers, because you guys get it. Y'all get it. Y'all zoom out and y'all look at the big picture. You're not just going to react. You're going to analyze everything and take everything in. And if it connects with the last thing, then we can make some sense of it. If it doesn't, we're just going to file it away and see if we can, you know, put things together. But I'm glad I waited. We get to listen to Joseph speak on how he came to this article, and we get to hear from the man himself. So I'm going to play this clip from you from 97.5 The Fanatic.
The friction that seems to be between now Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's dive into this a little bit. One thing that John and I were trying to figure out early on, is this Jalen toward ownership, toward front office, toward teammates? Is it a collective, the lack of support that he got throughout the course of the season and off season?
It's everybody. All right.
Fuck that!
I'm telling y'all, listen, go watch that video, Game of Thrones. We talked about everybody. We talked about the teammates, Nick, Howie, Jeffrey, everybody's role in all this, and how I was kind of shocked that more people didn't come out to defend him on everybody's front. And we're going to get to Howie in a second.
Well, let me be specific again, and I made sure this was stated in the story itself. These are people close to Jim.
Yes.
That I spoke to. So I don't know, okay, if you want to interpret coming from Jim himself, but and their venom seemed to be pointed at the team.
Venom meaning woman. That sounds like Nicole Lynn. I'm sorry. Allegedly. That's just my guess.
And their question was, where, Why isn't anyone coming out and refuting some of this stuff? Now, I'm not going to refute any of it because I have the utmost respect for Tim McManus, Jeff McClain, Marcus Hayes. I can go down the list. I mean, you don't come across a better B group than the group that covers the Eagles. They're fantastic.
I will refute that. A bunch of $2 hoes, but let's continue.
They're the best in the business, I think. And I've been around those guys for years. So they are, and I thought they were constructive deep dives on Hurts this past off season. But, some of the folks that are close to Hurts were like, where's the other side of it? What are the Eagles saying about this? What are they coming out and saying about this? Now, the Eagles are capital L-I-V-I-D at me. Livid. Believe me, I got that yesterday afternoon. And
why would they be livid? Makes you wonder, huh?
John knows because he was there at ground zero. Livid at me for not going to them about anything. And I'm like, well, wait a second here. I looked all over the place. There was nothing after those stories were written in defense of Hurts. I mean, I went looking again after, maybe you're not looking hard enough. Well, you know what? Bring it to my attention what I may have missed. And again, there was not. I'm looking, and I couldn't find anything. And I remember I was there at ground zero again when all that stuff came out. I'm the one that wrote it in reference to Wentz. And John, I think you were down there in Atlanta, but you knew what was going on. I was letting you know what was going on. And, the issue here was, no one, it still baffled me. Like, no one came out to say anything about this guy, in defense of this guy, whether it be players, whether it be something from the team itself. No one. And like I said, I'm looking over and over and over again, and that baffled me. In reference to what Lurie said, and this was interesting too, he said something down, remember the NFL meetings in late March in Arizona, where the Eagles had wind of what ESPN was doing. So maybe we can call that a preemptive strike by Lurie and from.
That's what I said.
Fuck that.
That's exactly what I said. And I said, Jeffrey Lurie, listen, y'all go watch the video. I dropped so many jewels. And that's one thing that I pointed out. I'm like, listen, Jeffrey is smart, okay? He's a billionaire. He's smart. He has a team in the NFL. You don't get to that position by being, you got to have coldness. Even though he's great and he's done some great things, And I've pointed out that the Eagles run the organization like corporate America, right? And for those of you who worked in corporate, if you've ever been in those meetings before the meetings, y'all know it. They be selling some stuff. They be singing like Whitney Houston and everything sounds all good before that stock drops.
Support and his franchise quarterback. I love you guys and listen to you guys in the morning. I am 1 million % in favor of what you guys are saying. I mean, John, you and I grew up with the white helmet Eagles.
Yes.
With Pete Lisk and Mike Barilla, and Norm Snead. So really, cut me a freaking break. This guy is a special guy. This guy wins. No, he's not Baryshnikov at a 2-2.
No.
But he's not Dan Marino, Joe Montana. But you know what? The bottom line is that he wins.
And that's the point that I want to get to, man. We have a quarterback that he gets it, man. This man he is going for the crown. He's going for the crown, y'all. The same crown that Patty's going for to be the GOAT. Jalen is going for that. Now, Jalen might not have the physical attributes as a Patty or Josh Allen or Lamar, but he's going for rings. He is going for rings, y'all. And in proxy, that comes to us. We get to root for the guy who wants to bring a winning culture to Philadelphia, to the Eagles, to the Birds, and we get to celebrate that. But yet, all we get is all this static. Man, I don't get it. And
when I threw this out at some Eagles folks, again, that were pretty angry at me yesterday, I said, let me ask you guys this question. You're supportive of him. Well, throw out who I spoke to, what I said, what anything's been said or written about Jalen Hurts from me or anyone else. The bottom line is this. You guys haven't offered him a contract extension.
And a lot of people will push back because they'll say, well, Joe Burrow hasn't gotten a contract extension, Justin Herbert, and I think there's somebody else on that list that came out of that draft class or whatever. But, we know that Howie, he doesn't work on that timeline. Howie and the Eagles, they don't work on everybody else's timeline. We do things our own way. And Howie usually gets ahead of this thing so he doesn't have to overpay for superstars to stay on the team. We're usually getting a friendly deal to keep players around and keep talent around. So the comparison to these other quarterbacks and the timeline that they're on is null and void to me. I don't want to hear about them. I'm worried about how Howie and the Philadelphia Eagles are handling business. I don't care about these other teams, man.
So, and that's something, Joe, that's something that we've been talking about a lot, the contract extension. And it's funny, Jeffrey Lurie has that it was late March, as you mentioned. Earlier that month, we had Derek Gunn on, legend, right? And we asked D. Gunn that question, like, hey, by the way, have you heard any whispers about a contract extension? And he said no, without hesitation. And he told us on this show, I don't want to use the term prove it year, but it almost seems like the Eagles are quietly setting up a prove it year. And so to your point about this contract extension, John's been talking about how they don't need to. We can all be under the same agreement that he's not going to play on this contract next year because the money is going to drop, the guaranteed money.
Agreed.
So I'll straight up ask you, do you believe that the Eagles are setting up a prove-it year for Jalen Hurts with this offense and the fact that the passing numbers have not been great each of the last 2 seasons, even the season they won the Super Bowl?
Oh, yikes. I'm going to go prove it year in another direction.
Okay.
I'm going to go prove it year in terms of Nick Sirianni. That Jalen stays. And if someone has to prove it, the one that has to prove it is going to have to be Nick Sirianni.
But how is Nick supposed to prove it when he doesn't do anything? By managing the team? By managing the games? What does he have to, how is he supposed to prove his worth? Right? Isn't this the type of coach that Howie Roseman wants in place? A meat shield that'll take the bullets from either him or the players or whoever. This whole A.J. Brown thing got completely out of control. Do y'all remember when T.O. went to the Cowboys and Bill Parcells at a certain point, he just stopped calling T.O. by his name. He called him at the wide receiver, the receiver. Do y'all remember that? Oh my God.
I've thought that too. I had said that he's the more likely one to be in the prove it year just by around the league. That would seem to be the more likely one. And Joe, I got to ask you point blank. When you talk about Jalen's frustration with the team, when you say team, do you think the frustration is front office, Lurie, Howie, or do you think teammates comes into that? As far as not getting enough defense.
Talking to the people getting close to Jalen. The impression was the team, not so much the players or anything else like that. Because again, they and also the gist of the story was the fact that this is a city that has a propensity of throwing out its superstars. I mean, this is a city that threw out one of its all-time greatest players in basketball history, Wilt Chamberlain, and one of the greatest players that ever played in the NBA, and Charles Barkley. This is a team that does not cuddle its superstars very, very well, and I believe, and I think you guys believe too, that Jalen Hurts is a superstar. Just treat him better than you have right now.
I agree. Listen, the most talked about player in the league is Jalen Hurts by a country mile. Okay? It's not even close. He's been to 2 Super Bowls where they played the Chiefs, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, one where Rihanna played the halftime show, the other where Kendrick Lamar played the most played song in 2024, Not Like Us, and had the whole stadium calling Drake, it's a diddler. And you're telling me that guy's not a superstar? And he's been on one of the most winning rosters in the league the past couple years and been to the playoffs every single year? Yo, it doesn't make sense. Joe Burrow has missed the playoffs 3 straight years in a row. Do you think Jalen could miss the playoffs 2 straight years and still be the quarterback? Joe Burrow has gotten everything that he's wanted in Cincinnati, but Brittle Bone Burrow can't stay healthy enough to even make the playoffs after getting everything that he wanted in Cincinnati. And that's who these weird-ass Eagle fans and these other people that don't appreciate Jalen, that's the type of quarterback that they want, that can't perform in big games. We're blessed, and we don't appreciate it.
And talking to people that are close to him, is the impression is this was aimed more so at the team. And when I brought up with one individual that I spoke to in reference to the story, I wish they would have came out. I wish they would have said something, this, and this. And I brought up to them, hey, listen, I was here at Ground Zero. I was the guy that wrote it. When the thing came out on Wentz, and you guys all remember this, within an hour of that story going public, within an hour, you had major Pro Bowl players, and they were all down at the Pro Bowl. and at the assistance of Eagles media, hey, listen, guys, you got to come out and defend your guy here, Carson Wentz. There was nothing like that in reference to Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Thing is, though, is that there's when you're talking about the Hurts camp, is that I would come to your defense. I would come to when the Wentz story came out. I did some Philly radio interviews. I said I've known Joe since we were teenagers. I said I know his integrity. I mean, like I'm surprised more teammates did not come out willingly to support him. I'm shocked by that.
Me too. I'm not gonna hold you. Tank Bigsby, Jahan Dotson, and I think it was one other player. They all came out, but look, man, look. Like I said, I broke everything down in that video. Go watch it. It perfectly lines up to where we are today and this article.
Yeah, and the same thing. And here's the thing: as I'm talking to you, John, one of the two guys that are on the interview here with me, John, you and I sat down in a Delco Sports Bar for an hour and a half when you came home, when I did the big takeout story on you. And I'm thinking to myself again, because the Eagles are obviously the Eagles are coming at me.
Yeah, they're really happy
with this and that. And yeah, they're overjoyed with me. But if you're going to accuse me of something, I think I have a pretty good track record. And one of the various people that did come at me yesterday was literally sitting across a table from me as I was talking to one of the very people who was very much involved in this story.
It doesn't shock me because bullying is a tactic. Bullying is a tactic that these sports teams use. They use it. They want to control the messaging. They want to control it, and they're willing to bully to get the message that they want out there. And too many in our media today are willing to cajole them and play by their rules.
$2 Ho, Tim McManus, and Jeremy Fowler. All right. And that's why I said Jalen Hurts needs to have a sit-down interview. I know Jalen is trying to take the high road, and he's done a great job with, comporting himself in the media, and he's done a great job. He's trying to take the high road, and he's not trying to kick up dust. I understand that. But sometimes you need to fight fire with fire, okay? He needs to have a sit-down interview, man. He needs to have a sit-down interview. The whole picture with the Scott Leffler, that was cool. Even getting this little portion out, this little article out here, that's cool. But he's been buried 6 feet deep, all right? The only way he's going to get out is like the Bride and Kill Bill.
Well, I'm not one of them.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
I also find it interesting that they didn't come out at all with anything about A.J. Brown. Now, I knew what the truth was.
Correct.
I knew what the truth was with Wentz. I know what the truth is, at least with some of the people around Jalen Hurts and how some of the people around Jalen Hurts feel. And I'm armed with something very powerful, and that's the truth.
The truth is powerful, Joe. The truth is powerful. Like these lies, we're going to play a couple clips. These lies that have been flying around, they haven't been holding up, and the truth has been slowly coming out because it holds weight. That's why.
Can I go as far as saying maybe Jalen thinks some of these things? Yeah, that these guys could have had my back more than they probably did. That's speculation. That's not from Jalen Hurts himself.
Right.
My people, the people that I spoke to were people that are pretty much ingrained with Jalen, and we're taken aback by, hey, listen, why don't you defend this guy, our guy, more than you are?
And my guess, this is just my guess, I would have to guess that's Nicole Lynn. That's just my guess, y'all.
If not at all. So, what I think is going to be the future? I think the Eagles are a very good organization. They are one of the best organizations, not only in the NFL, but in all the sports. Top
notch.
They are about making their people happy. And that's one of the reasons, if not the reason, why they got rid of A.J. Brown. You want to be happy somewhere else? Good. Go somewhere else. I do think Jalen Hurts likes it here. I do think, I feel strongly that he feels he should be more appreciated than he is by the fan base. But the Eagles are a very intelligent organization. They're going to extend him. They're going to re-sign him. And I think the prove-it year, I don't think falls in the lap of Jalen Hurts. I think the prove-it year actually falls in the lap of Nick Sirianni, regrettably. And this is a guy that's done nothing but win, too.
Yep.
But like I've said before, somehow Nick and Jalen, they've gotten split up when they're supposed to be hip to hip, right? Isn't Wins a quarterback and coach stat? That's what I thought. But somehow everything that's happened in this hurricane of information, Nick has gotten split from Jalen, which baffles me. So this is where we're at.
So Joe, in your story, speaking about Jalen Hurts and his future here, you wrote that Hurts will soon be up for another contract extension. The Eagles have not budged yet on that. They better watch out.
Yeah.
There are some around Hurts who feel he may have been traded after last season, and some around him and in some NFL circles that he may be gone after this coming season if he does not perform.
Yeah.
So the future of Jalen Hurts, is it more hinging on his play or his desire of where he wants to be? Because you're saying that he may not necessarily feel appreciated here. So is this Eagles will make a decision on Jalen Hurts moving forward, or Jalen Hurts will make a decision on Jalen Hurts moving forward?
The latter.
So more Hurts.
Because you're again dealing with something here. And again, John and I went through it with the Barkley situation where it came to a point in time where you can only kick me so long before I went out.
Yeah,
and that's big. That's big. And I've said that, look, man, go watch the video. Game of Thrones, you see what it looks like. Go watch that.
Charles definitely had hit his limit with patience with the Sixers. I don't know about him forced his way out, but it was just time for a divorce there. It was time for a divorce.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad weren't getting along anymore, and Charles needed to go somewhere else. Jalen, Charles didn't have the success here. He had the personal success, but the Sixers weren't doing their part of the bargain to give Charles his stage, his opportunity.
Well, I hope my concern with this is the Eagles. I hope they're not playing with fire here with this guy. I hope that they turn around and they realize what they have. I hope this fan base realizes what it has. Also, real quick here, because I know my time's limited and I appreciate the time you guys are giving me on the air. I hope they appreciate one John Kincaid.
And that's the end of the phone call. And I appreciate him for actually coming out and speaking about it. But I did a little bit of digging, and I wanted to find some quotes from Howie talking about Jalen or anybody just being clear and being plain in what he means and what his intentions are. These are just a couple tweets that I found. There's more, but I only saved a couple. But you see here, January 2022, Eagles GM Howie Roseman says Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback in 2022, right? That's plain. That's simple. That's very clear, right? In March 2022, Howie Roseman basically triples down on Jalen Hurts when asked about Deshaun Watson and maybe making a trade for him. Howie Roseman says, "We have Jalen Hurts," in quotes. Very clear, right? March 2022, there's no doubt about it. Howie Roseman on Jalen Hurts being their quarterback. January 2022, we said we wanted to see him take the bull by the horn, and he's certainly done that. Very clear, right? Now, fast forward to the questions and the quotes about the hit pieces that's been coming out, and this is what Howie had to say.
Yeah, I have seen those reports. Bob and our PR staff do a great job of showing us what we need to see. I would say that we have some faults. One of them is not being direct and honest with our players and the conversations with our players. So for us, if we have any issue with any of our players, we talk to them directly. So from my perspective, from Nick's perspective, from Jeffrey's perspective, we're not hiding behind anything. We will talk to our players directly, and I think that it's unfair. It's unfair to have these articles written, but I understand it's also what sells at this point. So, yeah.
What the hell did you just say?
Huh? It's unfortunate. Look, man. Look, y'all can come to your own conclusion. This is just something that we still need to monitor. I still believe Jalen needs to come out with the interview. A lot of people are going to come back and point to this little press conference the day or two right before the hit piece came out and say that the owner spoke up for Jalen Hurts. But again, if you've ever been in corporate, it's about playing chess, not checkers. Okay? You get out in front of stuff and then hold your hand up and say, listen, y'all heard what I said. All right? I didn't know anything about the hit piece. So last thing I'll say is the truth will always come out. The truth will always come out. And I haven't covered this since Jalen said this, but I wanted to point it out that Jalen Hurts was asked about the 4 verticals at the end of the 49ers game, and this is what he had to say.
That were laid bare in that story, one of them which is that you were the person behind the last play of the season. You actually asked for that play. Is that true? And what is your response to that?
Yeah, I've never really asked for an opportunity to respond to anything, so just let it live and go do my job.
And what about the last play? Was that something you directed or asked for, or?
No.
Again, the truth will always come out. The truth will always come out. And Jalen, please, if this reaches your mobile phone or desktop, just have a sit-down interview, okay? Have a sit-down interview. Get your thoughts out. Let everybody know where you're at. All right? I know you're getting sound advice because, you got your pops in your life and you got a nice family structure around you. You got some good people in your corner. I understand it. And I truly believe that Jalen wants to be in Philadelphia. And I hope that that is the case moving forward. But I'm not just going to dismiss these claims. I'm not going to dismiss the article. We read the article. It was very clear. It wasn't a hit piece, in my opinion. So we're going to see how it all plays out. But I believe Jalen is going to tear it up this season. And again, if you're not privy to what's going on, y'all need to go get your Jalen Hitman Hurts gear.
The excellence of execution.
Okay? Go get your Jalen Hitman Hurts gear. It's fresh. It's fly. We also got some Cooper DeJean shirts, some Zach Bond shirts, but go get your Jalen Hitman Hurts gear. It's real fresh, real fly. You can't be denied. We got dad hats. We got trucker hats. We got snapbacks. All right? We even got a bucket hat. We got a couple Eagles mugs. You know what time it is. Jalen's about to tear it up. But go get your Jalen Hitman Hurts gear. We gave him his own silhouette, y'all. But the league and the Philadelphia Eagles organization might have awakened a monster. That's all I got. Like, comment, and subscribe. Go Birds.
So let me go on record as saying, I am a man's man. I am a champion of champions. Do you people understand? Do you understand? This is what greatness looks like. Take a good look at it. Look at it. Look at it.